I'm talking, I've just been silly really. It's that time of the programme with 20 minutes to go or something to do that.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. It's Wendy, the director of the Samaritans in Newry, and Rosemary. How are the pair of you?
Fine, thank
Very
you.
well.
It's so delightful to have you here. And you just made a mention to me that there was some event going to occur, something like a fashion show or something. And then I said, well, look, we just don't talk for 2 minutes about a fashion show. Let's use the event to make money for Samaritans, but also to tell people again about Samaritans.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
what is the event?
We're having a fashion show tomorrow night, Friday night, the 24th, in the Listu
In Dundalk. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
one of our local shops here in Newry, Berling, will be there.
Yeah.
We then have shops in Dundalk, Gerard,
Wow.
Ruby New, and
It's women's
Tony
stuff.
McDonald.
It's women's stuff.
Well, there's a gentleman's shop coming along, so we'll have a few gentlemen models as well there.
Oh my God! You know the first time? Oh yes, models don't talk.
Yeah.
Oxfam 40 years ago, raising money, wearing suits in a Methodist hall in Glengormley. God
Oh,
knows
right.
it is, I tell you.
Yeah.
So it's tomorrow night. What time is it in the?
7:30 in the Listu.
In the Listu.
in Dundalk.
And we remind people and tell everybody tonight, for example, as well, people can make a couple of days of it. Phil Coulter is in the Canal Court tonight,
Oh, right.
which will be wonderful. A
Yeah.
night with Phil Coulter, Canal Court Hotel tonight. And then the Listu tomorrow night at 7:30. How do fashion shows work these days, girls?
Well, Rosemary
Well,
is the brains behind
what happens,
it.
Rose?
The shops get so many girls to model for them.
And they pounce up and down
they
in the
pon-
catwalk,
Yes, they
so
walk
to
up and
speak.
down.
No.
They walk up
And
and
they have
down
to walk
and have
as
a
though
bit of banter and a bit of crack.
Wearing,
and a bit of a
carrying a
laugh.
book on their head sort of
Oh,
job.
no, not at
They're
all,
not-
no.
Oh my goodness.
And we're all shapes and sizes.
But you look, isn't that the nature of the
It's
garden
great.
of life? All
Yes.
shapes and sizes, you know. And the Samaritans, now this year beginning your second year as
Yes,
director,
that's
Wendy. Have you started to scream yet and run away?
I've had my moments, I will say.
Yeah, but you've
um,
stood. You've been good throughout. You've been steadfast.
Oh yes,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's a great privilege to be asked to do the job. Our volunteers are amazing. They give their time freely and generously.
Yeah.
And of course there's a lot more to it than just answering the phone.
Well, that's
because
the beginning of it. You answer the phone, but once you answer the phone, you don't know what you're going to get.
you
No.
don't.
And you're going to, in some ways, you're going to take that to bed with you. You can't just leave it. You're thinking about it that night. I wonder what happened, poor Johnny or poor Joe or poor Mary. You're just worried. It rests with you.
Well, we have a very good support system. Volunteers debrief at the end of each
Yeah.
session. There's somebody at home and they have to ring and debrief and talk about what's happened. And clearly if they've had a call that's been worrying, that the leader, as it were,
Yeah.
or myself, one of the others, will give them a ring the next day perhaps and say, how are you? It's very important to do that because if you bottle it up, it becomes a problem.
Is it too much to say that those who phone the Samaritans are, by definition, mentally unstable?
No, not at all.
No.
I don't mean that in the sense that by phoning they're mentally
No, no,
unstable.
no,
I think
but-
by phoning is the wisest thing in the world to do. But by getting themselves into a stage of their lives that has got out of control, there may be an instability there. No?
Not
Not
at all, no.
No.
A former director in London used to say that a Samaritan is a volunteer who doesn't have a problem today. Any one of us could become troubled by our circumstances. We do get people who have mental health problems,
Yes, of
but
course.
they're not it's not the main thing.
No.
They're people in distress from ordinary life events.
Yeah.
You know, family breakup, financial problems are a huge issue for a lot of people. Home circumstances. Sometimes we get students away from home for the first time.
Understand
and they're
that,
finding it
yes.
difficult.
Yeah.
Anybody can
Can be,
become
yeah.
a caller. And there's no stigma to it at all. We all go through periods in our lives where life isn't going too well for us. And sometimes having somebody to talk to on the other end of the phone can just take it away for a little while. But it's certainly not the case that anybody who rings us has
No, I understand
a
that.
problem.
People, different horses for different courses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I remember once having a particularly bad experience in my life. I wasn't good, and I didn't talk to anybody. But what I did on a beautiful sunny summer's afternoon, at 11 o'clock in the morning, up to the top of the mountain, under
Yeah.
a blue sky,
Yes.
looked down at the loch and said a prayer.
Yeah.
I came off the mountain and said, I know what to do. I'm taking the bad picture out of the frame, took it out, threw it away,
Yeah.
and put a good picture in.
Yeah.
And the good picture has sustained me ever
Yeah,
since.
yeah.
But different things work for different people, don't they? But it is definitely good to talk. I mean, if people bottle things up, it can make the issue worse because
Yeah.
it becomes bigger in your mind, you know, if you don't talk about it. And sometimes a caller will say, oh, thank you so much, I feel so much better now. And that's so rewarding. Our callers aren't always charming,
No,
but they're troubled.
Yeah.
They're upset, they're angry.
yeah, and you take the brunt of that on times because you're convenient.
We're
You're there.
there.
You're there.
And, you know, very often they're not angry with us, they're angry with the situation. And sometimes the way they express that is in an angry manner. But we know they're not actually angry with us personally. It's they can't get to social services, they can't get an appointment at the hospital.
And what do you do in that situation? Because they say, look, I've been trying for a month to get an appointment, I can't get it. And then when I did get it, it was 24 hours before the appointment was due. They cancelled again and told me it would be 6 months.
You
What
would just
can you
support
say?
them. You would just talk to them. Like
Would you say
support
something
them
like,
and ring
have you spoken to your member of parliament? Would you say something like that?
Well, we never give advice.
No.
No.
That would be quite dangerous, actually, because we don't really know what the situation is. We just have the caller's perspective.
Yeah.
We perhaps talk, what options have you explored? You have to
Ah,
be
yeah.
very careful how
Yeah.
you phrase
Yeah.
it.
Uh-huh.
What do you think I should do? And we have to say, I can't tell you what to do.
Only you know the thing.
I'm
Yeah.
not in your position,
Yeah.
you know, and it would be
Do they sense at
foolhardy.
that time when you say that you're doing it for the right reason?
Yeah.
Yes.
But do they sense that at that time you're not being supportive of them because you're not telling them?
Some of them do.
Some-
I can
would,
see
yeah,
this.
yeah.
And some of them
Yeah.
will get annoyed because
Yeah.
we won't tell them what
But then
to
you
do.
take a deep breath and you start to explain
Yeah.
Yes.
why, and they understand that,
Yeah.
presumably.
Hopefully.
9 times out of 10 they would.
Yes,
you know.
indeed.
And we would keep in touch with them
Oh, yeah.
until they did get the appointment.
Aye.
You know, we would offer to ring them back.
Yes.
Oh, you would ring
Oh
back?
yes,
We
we,
do,
would
yeah.
say
Yeah.
to them, would you like us to ring you? And we'd be there for you. And we would arrange a time. They would give us their phone number. We would arrange a time with them, and we would ring them back later on that evening
Yes.
or the next day and support them for as long as they needed us.
Rosemary, how long have you been a Samaritan?
32 years.
I was going to say a long time. You know why? You have such ease with it. You're there taking it easy. I expect a director to have all of that ease automatically as a kind of iconic
only.
Samaritan. You know, there you are. But it was never meant to be easy being the Samaritan because I would notice it in certain other situations where people are angry for situations of hunger and situations of
Yes.
deprivation, situations of homelessness.
Yeah.
And on one moment they can be loving you,
Yes.
blink, and half an hour down the road
That's
they can
right.
be hating you, they're
Yeah.
going to kill you, you know. But I mean, what possessed you to be a Samaritan? What made you able to be a Samaritan?
A friend of mine took her own life.
Yeah.
And I knew that she had been supported at various times in her life by the Samaritans when family had failed her. And I thought, I'm going to join
Yeah.
the Samaritans. And it just worked out. I did. I was accepted and
Yeah.
I joined, and all my friends are practically in the Samaritans
sure,
now.
that's good.
It's a
But you
lovely
see, I
family
couldn't phone.
place, really.
I couldn't phone you if I needed to be. If I needed the Samaritans, I could phone neither one of you. I would phone you, say, "Oh, Rowan." You know, you wouldn't say that, but
No.
you'd know who I was immediately.
Yes, but that wouldn't matter to us.
It would matter to me, but you know, because I would feel embarrassed and all the rest of it. Maybe
No,
that's the
you-
reason people will
I
stand back
think
from
that-
it.
I think if you had a real problem,
You would give
you
it a
would,
go.
you
Yeah.
would, because I've often thought, what would happen if somebody came to the door that I knew or knew me,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I did
And,
that one.
yeah.
One Christmas that
Yeah.
happened. I remember we got a list of names from the St. Vincent de Paul and from the Salvation Army of people who needed a bag of
Mm. Yeah.
coal, who needed a bottle of Bailey sherry, and
Yeah.
who needed a box of After Eights.
Yes.
So we're going around giving these out. This is
Yeah.
about 40 years ago. And knock, knock. Sure, this leader of the community came to the door. He was visiting his mummy. And here we're there with this charity for the woman.
Yes.
And it's why is he not doing it kind of thing? It's no, we're just from the community council.
Yes.
Yeah. And this woman's very valued in the community. This is very good. You
Yeah.
have to play all
You
sorts of
do,
tricks, don't
yes.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll find if somebody is in trouble, they don't mind who they really speak to.
Yeah. Do you see
They're
in a
nowhere
box?
confidential.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Do you see if you can imagine a huge 20 feet high tube, glass tube, into which you could pour
Yeah.
a bucket of good that
Yeah.
you have done? Hear me out here, because I want to give people a sense of the goodness of Samaritans. Now, you're 32 years, 20-foot tube there into which you can pour notions of things you've done, all kinds of things you've done. How far up the tube would you have gone in terms
Oh,
of
no, not
knowing?
very
No, but you know yourself what I'm saying to you. You must have some handle on the difference you've made, and it's that difference.
Well, hopefully I have.
It's that difference that'll encourage other people
Yeah.
to come to you.
Yeah.
I think the brand is there. I mean, Samaritans started 60 years ago.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. 2,000 years ago.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, but
Sorry,
as
I
an
couldn't resist that. Please
organisation-
forgive me.
Yeah.
No, the first branch opened in November, or 41
What was
years
his name?
ago.
Chad
Vara.
Vara.
And it's going from strength to strength.
yeah.
People still come. It's the anonymity, I think, that is helpful, because people pour out their soul to a disembodied voice on the phone.
Yeah.
It never occurs to them that they will actually meet this
Yeah.
person.
But sometimes it's
Obviously-
not disembodied. Sometimes they can come.
Well, they
face to
can
face.
come in.
Yeah,
yes.
that's
I
true.
I was going to say people do come
Yeah,
in
yeah.
branches, and they're very welcome to do so. But the main body of our work is on the telephone, by email and SMS.
Yes.
Which we do. So we're moving with the
SMS
times.
is what?
Texting.
Yeah.
Yes. And that, of
She
course,
knew it was
is
SMS,
a
I didn't.
Yeah.
popular medium for young people,
Of
and
course,
a lot
of
of our
course.
young
Do you have many young
callers-
people calling
A
you?
lot.
A lot,
yes.
yes.
The pressures.
Peer pressures.
Peer pressures.
Lost the girlfriend.
Lost
That's right.
girlfriend.
Wow.
Exams,
Exam
parental
results, yeah.
expectations, family breakups, you name it. But they do contact us.
Yeah.
And the text is a preferred medium for many
Of
young
course
people.
it is. Except if you've got arthritic thumbs.
Well,
like me.
indeed.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not so easy.
And emails are prolific because people can pour it all out. It's like writing a letter, but they do get a reply
yes.
to
yeah.
their
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
distress. And that's quite a major.
Are you full up at the moment for people, or what's the story?
Well, we're just running a training session at the moment.
Yes, you've
Our
got
new
your people
batch
for
is
this
coming
session.
through,
Yeah.
but we're always wanting to hear from new people, because some people like Rosemary stay for a long time, others stay for a couple of years for good reasons.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
move away,
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
they're here while they're at university and then they go off, or they go off to university. So we do have a turnover. We'll be running another training session in March, and so perhaps we could talk to you then about
Absolutely. It was so blinking. It will be March.
it will.
I tell
And
you.
also, we're looking for people to support us. Not necessarily people who feel they wouldn't want to answer the phones
Yes,
or write
yeah.
emails. There are lots of other ways in which they can support. By fundraising,
Yes.
which Rosemary is our champion at the moment,
Wow.
but by doing other things for us as well, perhaps
Okay.
a day in the office,
Okay.
looking after things, doing admin.
And immediately, people, Listu House tomorrow night.
Yes.
Yes.
7:30.
Yes.
For the
could
fashion
I,
show.
Could I also mention that Kevin Morgan, who's a chef in the
I
Canal
know
Court,
Kevin. He's going to be doing things
he's-
for you in Dublin.
He's doing the marathon for
Good man,
us.
Kevin. Well done. Well done.
So anybody wants to sponsor Kevin, please
Find him
do.
in there. That's the Samaritans of Newry.
Right.
Yes.
Rosemary and Wendy. It's
Thank you.
always a joy to welcome Samaritans into this studio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Make it
very
your
much.
own. And as our Scottish friends would say, haste ye back. Liz, thank you for coming in.
Thank
and
you
thank
very
you
much.
all for tuning in. We're at the end of the programme today. I'll be back tomorrow morning, God willing, inshallah. and we'll be here for you with lots of stories, lots of music, lots of yarns and lots of crack, my eclectic mix of music and musings, who knows. And don't forget Phil Coulter. Tonight is Phil Coulter at the Canal Court Hotel. Thanks, Gertrude.